It was still dark outside when I heard the heavy echoing knocks slamming hard against home. I checked the clock. 5:02 a.m. No one arrives this early unless something feels terribly off. I tugged on my sweatshirt and moved toward the door. My heartbeat thudding anxiously inside. When the door swung open, my next-door neighbor Gabriel Stone stood shaking on the porch. His skin pale with fear, his breath sharp and uneven, like he sprinted the distance. "Don't go to work today," he murmured in a rush, his tone low and urgent. "Stay home. Please trust me." I stared at him confused, my mind struggling to understand. Gabriel was normally quiet, polite, with brief greetings only, rarely speaking, beyond small pleasantries. I barely knew the man, just that he kept isolated, moving here about a year ago. Seeing him this terrified now felt completely wrong and unnatural. "What are you saying exactly?" I whispered, feeling nerves rise. Did something already happen here? He shook his head slowly, though his eyes flashed warning, sharp like danger was near. "I can't explain right now. Just promise you'll stay inside. Don't leave for any reason." Everything around felt unreal suddenly. The cold breath of morning, the faint pink sky forming across the trembling horizon line, and Gabriel standing before me. Usually still and unreadable, now looking ready to break. I took a steady breath, trying to calm my thoughts. "Gabriel, you're seriously scaring me. Tell me why I shouldn't." He paused with clear hesitation, then lowered his voice further, speaking almost like a whisper. "You'll understand it by noon." Before I asked him anything, he stepped back in alarm, glancing across the neighborhood anxiously, as if someone watched silently nearby. Then he hurried toward his home, walking fast without looking back. I remained frozen in place, my hand gripping the doorknob, my thoughts spinning in confusion. A logical part of me wanted to call it paranoia, insist he must be mistaken, maybe dealing with something personal. But another instinctive part within told me not to ignore it, told me something was coming. And I couldn't brush it away, not with everything happening lately. There was one deeper reason I couldn't dismiss this warning. 3 months ago, I lost my father. His death was sudden. You said, officially, it was listed as a medical stroke. But in the days leading up to it, he kept attempting repeatedly to tell me something he said was important. Whenever I questioned him, he would only whisper, "It's about our family." "It's time you knew." Then before we talked, before anything was explained, he passed away suddenly. Since that moment forward, strange things kept happening quietly around my life. A car parked motionless near my driveway, watching, sitting for long hours with dark-tinted windows. My phone kept ringing from blocked, silent numbers where no one answered. My younger sister, Sophie, who currently works overseas, called asking cautiously whether I had noticed anyone new wandering near me. No one said anything clearly or directly ever, but I still felt something shifting around me, subtle, deliberate, unsettling. Whatever it was exactly, it wasn't random coincidence. My name is Alyssa Rowan. I'm 33 years old, financial analyst with Henning & Cole Investments, someone who never misses work unless ill. I live completely alone inside the house inherited from my late grandmother. My life is quiet, structured, orderly, predictable usually. Till today, everything changed. I made my decision in that moment calmly, not because of fear, but because logic mattered. If Gabriel was mistaken, I would simply take a personal day off. If Gabriel was right, I might unknowingly save my life by listening. I typed my manager, saying I couldn't come due to personal emergency. Then I waited anxiously. The passing hours dragged, moving unbearably slow today. Every sound inside home seemed louder than usual. The steady kitchen clock, the humming refrigerator motor, even the windy rattling against the living windows felt like someone whispering through walls, trying desperately. By around 11:30, I started feeling foolish. Nothing alarming had happened. Gabriel hadn't come back. Maybe I was overreacting. Then suddenly my phone rang from unknown number. I answered expecting maybe a spam call or my manager asking updates. Instead, a calm voice spoke with quiet authority. "Ma'am, this is Officer Taylor with the County Police Department. Are you aware of a critical incident that occurred at your workplace this morning?" My breath froze instantly. What incident happened there? The officer exhaled slowly, his tone shifting gravely. "There was a violent attack inside your building. Several employees were injured. We have reasons suggesting you were present today." My entire body tensed. That's impossible. I wasn't anywhere near that building. Silence filled the call. Then the officer continued. "We have clear footage showing your car arriving at exactly 8:02 a.m. Your ID was used to enter the building. And security reports say you were last seen on the third floor right before the attack." My knees nearly collapsed. I gripped the table to keep myself standing. Someone had used me, used my identity deliberately. Someone wanted me there, and someone wanted everyone to believe I was. If you want to know what the police told me immediately next, and the truth Gabriel had been trying to protect me from urgently, subscribe now and comment where you're watching from. Because what happened around noon didn't just change my life completely forever. It revealed exactly why I was never supposed to survive this day. The officer's voice remained calm but held something, a tension-mixed warning that made everything clear. This wasn't a casual call. This was everything about to shift completely. "Ms. Rowan," the officer continued, "your coworkers reported clearly seeing you inside the building earlier this morning. Security logs confirm your keycard was scanned. Exactly at 8:02 a.m., we have time-stamped footage also showing your vehicle entering the underground parking garage." I pressed the phone closer urgently to my ear, my voice trembling. "That's not even possible. I've been home all morning without leaving once. I didn't go today." There was a pause, cold and unsettling silence. Then he asked something that sent a chilling shiver racing through me. "Can anyone verify that?" I scanned my empty living room around me. The silence felt suffocating, heavy and strangely accusatory. "No," I whispered quietly. "I live completely alone." The officer's tone shifted, growing stiffer and formal. "Ms. Rowan, at approximately 11:47 a.m. an emergency alert triggered on the third floor of your corporate building downtown today. Coordinated attack occurred. You were reported missing from the chaotic scene. We are required now to locate you immediately for your safety and for questioning regarding events." My grip tightened nervously around the shaking phone. Questioning. Why would I ever be questioned here? There was another longer pause, deliberate and careful, as if choosing words. "Evidence was discovered inside the building after responders arrived moments after alerts. Items belonging to you were recovered very close to the scene itself." My mind blinked empty. Items belonging to me. That was when suddenly I remembered Gabriel completely, his pale, trembling expression, his shaking, frantic hands. "Don't go to work today," he'd told me. Someone had planned everything, and I had unknowingly been placed in their scheme as either victim or the perfect scapegoat. "I'm telling you seriously, I wasn't even there," I said, trying hard to keep myself calm. "Someone probably cloned my keycard without permission." Or, then a sudden thought slammed into me so sharply I struggled. "My car, did you see who actually exited the vehicle in footage?" The officer replied quietly, "The footage is corrupted. Cannot see faces. Only the vehicle entering, your plates clearly visible." My pulse climbed rapidly. Whoever orchestrated this attack had access to my car or an identical. My identity wasn't stolen, it was directly replaced. I glanced toward the window. Heart beating violently. Was someone watching me? Was someone waiting patiently for me to panic and make a wrong, desperate move instantly now? Before I asked anything, the officer calmly said, Units will be arriving at your address shortly. Please do not leave the premises for safety." My instincts ignited instantly. If Gabriel warned me not to go earlier, and if someone impersonated me entering my workplace, then officers arriving now might not be coming for my protection whatsoever. They might be coming to arrest me instead. As soon as the call abruptly ended, I closed every single blind and locked every door. My breathing turned shallow, panic tightening within me. My thoughts raced back through every strange moment from these recent weeks. A man in formal clothes watching silently from a parked vehicle nearby. Emails from unknown senders asking if I'd be in the office Tuesday. The disturbing quiet feeling that someone had rifled through my belongings recently when I wasn't home. It wasn't paranoia anymore. It had been preparation. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed across my door. Controlled, firm, deliberate. Not like a neighbor, not like urgent panic. It was completely intentional. I held my breath, remaining perfectly still inside. Another knock followed, then a familiar voice. "Alyssa, it's Gabriel. Open the door. Now we need to talk." My chest tightened painfully. I slowly approached cautiously but didn't open it. "How did you know the police would call me today?" I asked through the wooden door. His voice came back low, steady, unwavering. "'Cause they're not coming to help you today. They're coming to place you under federal custody. You were never meant to wake up safely in your own bed this morning at all." My head spun violently. "What are you talking about exactly right now?" "They staged the entire incident to eliminate everyone inside that building today," he said with certainty. "And you were supposed to be there then, not as their victim, but as the person they intended to blame." He paused before continuing. "And now they need you alive long enough to confess to something you absolutely didn't do." A cold realization washed slowly across my skin. Whoever did this didn't just want me gone. They wanted me erased and rewritten entirely as the villain in everything. And whatever was supposed to happen around noon was never about buildings. It had always been centered directly around me. I opened the door slowly, not because I trusted Gabriel without question, but because trusting fear felt even more dangerous. His eyes locked instantly onto mine the moment the doorway cracked open. Sharp, alert, watchful, scanning as if checking whether we were truly alone. Without waiting for permission, stepped quickly inside and closed the door firmly and quietly behind him with quick urgency. He didn't waste time. "They're already en route," he said in warning. "You have minutes left, maybe even less time, before they arrive here and declare this house an official crime scene." I crossed my arms, trying to steady breathing. "Why? Why choose me? What is happening here?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he moved slowly toward the kitchen window and surveyed the street. Then he lowered voice. "Alyssa, I didn't move here by pure accident. I moved here specifically to keep watch over you exactly as instructed. Your father requested that." The words struck hard like a physical blow. Stepped backward instinctively. "My father? That's impossible." No. My father was an accountant. Simple, ordinary, a normal, quiet man. He never. Gabriel turned and faced me fully. "Your father never worked in finance." That story was only his cover. He was directly involved in a covert federal investigation for nearly 2 entire decades undercover. And you were part of the reason behind everything he was doing. My mouth turned dry. "What does that mean?" Gabriel reached slowly inside his jacket and pulled out a small envelope, matte black and unmarked. "Your father knew something like this would eventually happen someday to you. He left this specifically for you to read." I hesitated before taking the envelope from him. My fingers shook anxiously as I unfolded paper. Inside was a handwritten note signed in ink. "Alyssa, if you're reading this, then what I feared most has happened. You are not endangered because of anything done. You are endangered entirely because of who you are and always were. There is more hidden about your true identity than you currently know. Gabriel will reveal everything. Trust him the way you once trusted me. Do not surrender yourself. If they take you in, you will disappear. Dad, my knees weakened. My father had known. He had been trying to prepare me quietly. All those countless times he had warned me there. Are things you're better off not knowing for now? I thought he was being dramatic. Now those very words returned like ghost warnings. Gabriel met my eyes. They're not just framing you. They're reclaiming you. Reclaiming, I repeated faintly, my voice barely audible. You were never simply a civilian, Gabriel said. Your birth wasn't coincidence. Your entire identity was designed and carefully constructed. Your father uncovered a classified biogenetic program deeply connected to powerful families, influential and protected bloodlines. When he refused cooperation, he became a liability. His death wasn't natural. You were next intended for elimination right after. But they uncovered something more useful in you. My heart thundered violently. To use me as what exactly? I asked. He stepped closer slowly. As a scapegoat. You said? They needed a narrative strong enough to justify the next phase of their operation. A crafted false flag, a deliberate tragedy created with me positioned as the central face of the entire manufactured disaster. Realization seared through me with a sudden violence. Every odd encounter earlier, every shadow I dismissed, every silence I overlooked had been guiding me toward this exact moment. So all of this was arranged to destroy my life completely? I asked, voice barely steady. Gabriel's expression stayed unwavering. Not only your life, your entire legitimacy itself. Once they announce you as a national threat, they gain immediate authority to seize every file linked to your father's investigation and hidden discoveries. They can erase truth he fought to protect until the moment he lost his life for. Gabriel reached once more into his coated sleeve and pulled out slowly a metallic key card marked with a red insignia that glimmered dark. This grants secure access to a private vault your father personally used. Inside are encrypted files naming individuals responsible for this massive covert operation. If you don't reach that vault before them, everything your father died to defend will vanish forever into their silence. I stared at the key card in his hand, then looked back at my father's note. My whole life I had assumed I was ordinary, replaceable, unnoticed completely. But now I understood I had never been invisible or replaceable ever. I was observed constantly because I was the final piece of a puzzle powerful people feared solved. Suddenly, distant siren wails began echoing through the quiet edges of the surrounding neighborhood outside us. Gabriel glanced toward the front window sharply once. "They're here," he said, but fear didn't touch his voice or posture. And for the first time since the morning, fear no longer lived in me either, because what had left me completely was my doubt. I folded my father's letter and slipped the keycard safely into my pocket before exhaling. Then I faced Gabriel and said, "Show me where we need to go right now." He nodded once slowly. In that single moment, I crossed the boundary between the familiar life I had always known and the terrifying truth I was born to confront without any hesitation. We barely reached Gabriel's SUV before the first unmarked black vehicles turned the corner and started closing in on us. The sirens had stopped. They didn't require them anymore to justify presence. They weren't arriving as law enforcement anymore. They were arriving as recovery. "Get in," Gabriel ordered, starting the engine instantly as soon as my door locked itself shut. We shot forward violently, tires screeching across asphalt. Through the rear window, I saw two men step out of a black sedan, surveying everything. One lifted a radio to his mouth slowly, expression cold and certain, like a man reclaiming property instead of pursuing a human being running. As we sped down the highway, an unexpected calmness flooded through me. Fear had drained away. Remained was clarity. Something deep inside me shifted like a key finally fitting the correct lock it always needed. After almost 20 minutes of thick, silent driving, Gabriel finally spoke low. "There's something you must see before we reach the vault's hidden entrance. Once you see this, you'll understand completely why they've watched you relentlessly your entire human life." He reached into his jacket and handed me a tablet already opened. A file was displayed titled plainly Rowan Alyssa. Subject 7B designation, flag genomic asset, high priority project origin initiative confidential. I scrolled downward slowly, pulse hammering harder while I read the contents. Gene expression mapping logs. Blood markers displaying anomalies. Not present in ordinary humans across any category. A note beneath said, subject possesses complete immunity to multiple viral strains. Potential regenerative blood capabilities. Subject cleared for Phase 2 biological integration procedures. Phase 2. I swallowed with a tightening throat. What does this indicate? Regenerative how? Immune to what, exactly? I asked. Gabriel kept his focus on the highway ahead. 20 years ago, your father uncovered a government-backed biogenetics initiative running. They weren't attempting cures. They were manufacturing humans with engineered immune advantages designed to survive outbreaks, chemical disasters, and warfare. I stared at the screen, light strobbing across my face as truth settled over me heavily like falling gray ash. My father was involved in this at all? I asked, voice cracking. He was never intended to be, Gabriel answered. He stumbled into everything when he found medical inconsistencies hidden within your early childhood health records. He discovered blood samples taken without his consent. He realized you were being monitored and studied without his awareness. Entirely. He attempted to remove you from the program, but escape wasn't allowed. Highway lights flickered past like streaking white comets. I struggled processing anything. Me, a subject, a project, a target engineered. Gabriel continued speaking. Steadily, your father leaked details of the program to a federal oversight board. The board ordered termination of the entire project. But instead of ending it, those at top erased the investigation entirely along with every witness. Everyone, including my father, I whispered brokenly then. Gabriel nodded with sorrow. They staged it carefully to look like stroke, but he was poisoned with a neurotoxin created by the same program. His death was message. I closed both eyes. For the first time, I didn't picture him as a quiet man with burdens and secrets. I saw him fully as someone who sacrificed everything to protect his child from a world she never even realized she had been born into from the beginning. They planned to retrieve you on your 33rd birthday. Exactly, Gabriel said softly. But something unexpected shifted their original timeline. Your profile was suddenly accelerated without warning signs. Your blood test last month triggered a system alert deep within their classified monitoring network silently. That's why they orchestrated the staged assault at your workplace earlier today. If you had gone there as scheduled, you would now be either dead or permanently vanished. Dead or erased entirely. And now what happens? I asked him quietly. They will frame you publicly and aggressively, Gabriel answered. Declare you as a domestic biological threat. Activate asset recovery protocol. I gripped the tablet so tightly my fingers began trembling. Under pressure, but why frame me? Why not simply take me quietly without spectacle? Because they don't simply want your physical body, Gabriel replied with certainty. They want total control over the surrounding narrative. If the world believes you are highly dangerous, no one will question whatever they choose to do with you afterwards. We turned off the main road and continued onto a forest pathway leading toward a remote, unmarked research facility hidden. The trees grew denser, the air colder gradually. My heartbeat slowly steadied. I was no longer standing in the life I formerly understood well. I was stepping into the one I had been created and destined for from the beginning. As we approached, what looked like an abandoned bunker buried beneath an overgrown moss-covered hillside, Gabriel parked the SUV carefully and then turned toward me with steady composure. "You have one final decision now, Alyssa," he said in a calm yet deeply serious tone. "Once you walk inside, there will be absolutely no possibility of going back to your former life or false normality. You will learn everything. Your father died, protecting the truth about who and what you are. And once you know it, they will never stop hunting you again." I met his eyes without looking away once. "I've been hunted my entire life unknowingly already." I said, "It's time to learn what exists inside me that they're so desperate to obtain, and desperately eager to control entirely with force." Gabriel nodded solemnly then. I stepped out slowly from the waiting vehicle. The bunker door groaned open like something waking from decades of sealed silence hidden underground untouched. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't the ending of my life at all. This was the beginning of the actual one meant for me from my birth. The bunker door sealed shut behind us with a deep metallic thud that echoed heavily through the chamber, like the slow heartbeat of something ancient waiting in darkness. The air was cold, undisturbed, untouched, as though this place had been waiting not for anyone else, but specifically me. Gabriel moved ahead with sure, practiced certainty, entering a long corridor lined with reinforced steel safety doors marked with warnings. I followed silently behind, each step feeling heavier than the one before. The deeper we went, the more a strange pressure began building inside my chest like memory. Not fear at all, not anxiety either, but something unsettling recognition. Awakening slowly. My body knew this place instinctively, even though my mind did not. We stopped in front of a vault door bearing a circular emblem engraved directly into steel, the Rowan family crest. My father once showed me a drawing of it long ago, saying it belonged to distant ancestors from our lineage. Now I finally understood the deeper truth behind it. It wasn't heritage, was precise designation. Gabriel motioned calmly toward a small biometric panel mounted flush on the adjacent wall beside us. "Your DNA will open this vault securely now," he said in a quiet voice, steadying me. I hesitated a moment. "How do you know?" "'Cause your father told me personally," Gabriel replied. "He said the vault would only recognize his bloodline, and you are. Now the last remaining one." It struck me deeply that I wasn't simply unlocking a door physically. I was unlocking the final hidden secret of my family's entire existence. I pressed my palm to the glowing scanner. A pulse of light ran across my skin. The vault released a soft chime and slowly rotated its heavy mechanism open with steady motion. Its cold air spilled outward, carrying a scent that tightened my chest instantly. Old paper, preserved memory, and something else entirely. Home unmistakably calling back. The room inside was circular, lined with shelves stacked with black storage boxes labeled with coded numbers and silent dates. At the center stood a glass pedestal holding a single leather-bound journal sealed within protective casing. My father's private journal. Hands trembling slightly, I lifted the casing carefully and opened to a page marked with ribbon. There was a letter addressed directly to me in my father's familiar handwriting, waiting to speak. "My daughter, if you are reading this now, then the layers of deception wrapped around your entire life have finally begun to fall away completely. But what I need you to understand above everything else is this. You were never accidental. Were never property. You were the first living proof that human immunity can evolve naturally without intervention or engineering. They did not create you in any laboratory. You were born carrying what they have spent decades desperately attempting to manufacture through artificial means. It is not what was done to you that makes you powerful. It's what you already are by design inherently. It's where the future, fear, will rise." I closed my eyes as tears blurred ink, the words swimming softly. My father didn't merely die protecting my safety. He died protecting everything I symbolized. Everything hidden. Not a weapon. Hope. On the next page was a final instruction, simple yet universe-shifting entirely. There is a decision only you alone can make with absolute conviction. At the far end of this vault lies the master control terminal. One command will give them exactly what they've always wanted, desperately your obedience. The other will release every classified document tied to the Rowan Initiative directly into the public. Once you choose, the world will transform forever. I looked at Gabriel. He didn't try influencing my mind or intention. He simply whispered, "Your father trusted you to decide not as subject, but as a human being with true agency." On my legs felt heavy as I approached the control terminal, glowing faintly. 2 buttons glowed softly beneath reinforced glass panes. Acquisition protocol, meaning surrender. Revelation protocol, meaning exposure. If I chose first, I might live safely, but lose freedom completely, along with buried truth. If I chose second, I would make myself a target for powerful people who had already killed to keep silence. I pressed the second button without hesitating further. A low humming filled the chamber around us. A countdown appeared instantly on the terminal screen. Data began flooding outward onto secure preset channels established long ago by my father's careful planning. Evidence, names, financial trails, documents all streaming across global media networks everywhere, encrypted, yet easily traceable. There was no turning back from this point. Gabriel exhaled sharply. "It's done," he whispered. "You just changed everything." Suddenly, alarms exploded loudly. They had finally located us hidden deep inside. Our remaining time ended, but I no longer felt a single flicker of fear in myself. For the first time in my entire life, I wasn't hiding behind what I once believed was safety or normalcy. I was standing fully in the light of truth at last, finally. "We have to leave now," Gabriel said urgently. As we ran through the exit tunnel, quickly, my father's last words echoed sharply in mind. "You were not born to be controlled ever. You were born to reveal what control is." We emerged into cold night air, violently rushing. Helicopters thundered overhead loudly. Searchlights cut through the dark forest trees, but I no longer saw them as hunters. I saw them as the first collapsing wave of a dying lie. No longer running away from them anymore. Tonight he was leading the fight against them with full clarity. Because I wasn't just surviving anymore in shadows. I was becoming everything my father always believed I could one day become. Something entirely new. Not a subject anymore, not a frightened victim, but the beginning of something unprecedented. Awakening now. If you believe truth should never be buried, no matter how powerful the people burying it are. Make sure you subscribe right now and comment where you're watching from today, this moment. Because this story is not the end ever.